Hello, my name is Richard Haight, and today I'd like to address issues of competence. And so I've got a question sent to me from a Xenu. He says, I hope you are fine. And then he says he says he has no best friend, and he feels alone and very depressed. He says he works in an NGO, but at an NGO, non-government organization, but at times feels very confused. He has no confidence, and he wants to know how he can remove his hesitation when people talk to him. And he wants to change his life, and he wants to have passion. He wants to move up to the top, but he has much fear, and he's never had anybody to provide any guidance so that he could improve his life. And I guess he says his English is not so good, but he hopes he will understand. He hopes that I understand what he wants, and asks for help. He says, I want to do something special in my life. I want success. So this is a very important question. In a spiritual awakening, typically a teacher who heard something like that would hear that the person is seeking worldly success. But there's a certain overlap between what a person can do to achieve worldly success and also what is necessary for the spiritual awakening process. And so there's a certain kind of overlap or basic fundamental skills, I suppose we could say, or awarenesses that would be helpful, or certainly early on in the spiritual awakening process. So for this reason, I'll answer this question. There for whatever reason, I don't know if Xenu didn't have parents who guided him towards basic social skills, as well as basic critical thinking skills, to become self-actualized, to be able to make his own decisions or her own decisions. I don't know, it doesn't specify. I don't know if Xenu is a male or female name. And to find her own direction in life. But these things are actually helpful for the spiritual awakening as a facet, especially self-actualization. So I'm going to discuss this question from the perspective of self-actualization. First is, you don't need me to correct your life. You've got what you need to correct your life right now within you. And so I'm just here to kind of point that out. And you don't be very wary about blindly following. Sometimes people who are not self-actualized or who have not found means within themselves to accomplish rely on other people to make decisions for them. And if you find yourself doing that, stop it. How do you stop it? You start very small. You start making small decisions for yourself. And there will be people in your life surrounding you who may be making decisions for you and are used to it and essentially use that as authority over you. You're going to have to start making your own decisions, and you may need to push back against them to create space for you to make your own decisions. And this means you're going to make mistakes. You're going to do things that are kind of stupid because you haven't maybe learned how to make good decisions. You may not have many people who are friends with you because they don't perceive you as being a capable person. And this isn't an attack on Xenu. This is just, it's a reality. I've been there. When I was young, I didn't have any friends, and I wasn't a capable person, and I did rely on other people to make decisions for me. And I was too timid and afraid to make my own decisions. And it was because I hadn't developed some very basic fundamental skills as a human being. And so you're going to have to go back to the basics. Before you can self-actualize, you need to know that you can actually function in the world. Your insecurity comes from fear that derives from the nervous system itself, because the nervous system knows you are not a capable person. You haven't developed these fundamental survival skills. And your nervous system knows that, and it's going to create feelings of insecurity. And that is just the way it is. So we need to develop some certain fundamental skills, and you're going to have to re-raise yourself. Don't expect somebody else to raise you. Don't expect me to raise you. I mean, I can certainly, I can certainly point you towards certain things and maybe quite strictly call you on certain shortcomings, which can be helpful. I'm glad that I had mentors that did that with me. Whether you would receive that information or receive that being called in such a way openly with a positive attitude, that's of course up to you. But anything that I say here is not coming from malice. It's coming from a recognition that you're suffering quite profoundly, and that insecurity is a horrible place to be, and that you don't want to be there anymore. And you'd like to move forward. And if that's true, then maybe this message is helpful for you. And just realize it is coming from a sincere place, and that I have been there. In fact, what I viewed myself as unworthiness, or my inability to accomplish, my utter incompetence and lack of friends and everything drove me to a state of suicide when I was young. And so it can get bad. It can get everything can always get worse. And so we would like to maybe you're at a point now where it's gotten bad enough and you don't really want it to get any worse, and you're willing to turn it around. And so what that means is that you're going to have to develop these certain fundamental skills, and you're going to have to start from the basics. Very, very simple. If you want to get more information on what I'm going to talk about, it's something that I think it's sort of a common sense thing. It's certainly part of the martial arts tradition that I came from. It's you start with the very, very fundamental basics, and you master those core basic elemental steps of life. And then those things can kind of come together to create more complicated activities harmoniously. What are the most fundamental basic things? These are things you learned, hopefully you learned as a child, but maybe in some cases we didn't. So I'm going to talk about these things. And these things have been popularized again by a man named Jordan Peterson. He's a psychiatrist in the United States, so you can look into him. And he talks about cleaning up your room. And I come at it from a different approach, but I say the same thing. So there's a sort of inner atmosphere. This isn't what Jordan Peterson says. This is my own discovery. There's an inner atmosphere. We have, especially when we're insecure, it's a very small feeling, and it creates a kind of way of holding the body, which is also that's going to represent that smallness. And other people feel that. It comes through your voice inflection. It comes through the way you move your eyes, the movement of your body, and that's what happens. People see it and they know immediately. They know this person is not capable. This person is foolish. This person is, lower than I am. That people have this like a ranking that sort of goes on all the time, and they're trying to find who is higher on the social ranking and who is lower. And if you have a very small inner space and it's very insecure, you're always going to fall to the bottom of that social pyramid, and you won't have friends. And the people that may come around you may be people who might take advantage of you, who take advantage of that weakness, or you may be bullied. And you're probably getting tired of that. And so the first thing we're going to do is switch our perspective of how people are interacting with us. We view how they're interacting with us as not saying that they are wrong. Yeah, maybe bullies aren't nice and they're not good. And all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we can say that. But recognize that the way people are responding to you is indicative of your inner atmosphere and what you're projecting into the world. That's feedback. And you need to take that feedback constructively. No longer viewing it as they're wrong or you're wrong, but instead viewing this as information from which which is reflecting the atmosphere that you are projecting into the world. And we don't want to like suddenly just like, okay, now I'm going to create a false atmosphere and pretend I'm confident. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I mean developing authentic capability in the world by actually doing things that develop the skills, that develop the capacity to be functional in the world. And that quite naturally will raise confidence. Because you will know, not because you've lied to yourself, I'm a confident person. You don't need to say, I'm a confident person, I'm a confident person, I'm a good person, I'm a capable. You don't need to brainwash yourself. You'll know deep down that that's a lie. And the spiritual awakening path is not about lying. You need to get these fundamental skills and practice them, put them into your life. Clean up your inner atmosphere. Clean up the atmosphere around your body. How do you do that? It's very, very simple. Right now, spread your vision out peripherally. Open your feeling up and just look around you. Wherever you are, look around you right now. What could be adjusted to make the atmosphere a little bit better? I mean, don't do this in somebody else's house. Do this in your house, of course. There is no time in your life when you couldn't do something to make this moment a little more harmonious, a little less confusing, a little less disharmonious. What are you doing right now to clean up the inner atmosphere, to clean up the atmosphere around you? Small things make a huge difference because you're developing the capacity to do this ever more. You're going to develop in small steps awareness and sensitivity to this, to the disharmony and harmony of the atmosphere within and around you. And that will naturally reflect in capability. And capability will change the way your nervous system responds, which will change the way you hold your body quite naturally without you having to, try to make a fake posture. Quite naturally, everything will change about the way you perceive the world, the way you perceive the self, the way that the body is moving. And other people will see this over time, and it will develop and grow. And after a certain period of time, as you challenge yourself ever greater to take on ever greater challenges of creating ever more harmonious atmosphere around you, in your life, in your job, in your relationships, in your own inner space, people will recognize this is a capable person. This is a person who gets things done. This is a person that I could learn something from. I want to be like that person. Because a lot of people will start to feel the capability develop within you. And they'll say, I want to be like that person. I want to be around people like that. And suddenly you'll start gravitating people to you that are attracted to that clear authority that happens. It's not an arrogant thing. It's just like, you're capable, and it's not like you've brainwashed yourself into believing you're capable. It's not this self-talk stuff. It's actual experience making an aim and accomplishing. And those aims are going to be small. When you get up in the morning, make your bed and make it in such a way that it feels good to your nervous system. Look around your room, organize it so that it feels good to your nervous system, and be quite specific about it. Look at your diet, look at what you're eating, and select accordingly. And through this process, you'll develop an awareness, or you will unveil or reveal a heightened sense of discernment between harmony and disharmony, and the capacity to take what was disharmonious and transform it into the harmonious. And you do this for a period of years, at some point, you won't have any mental noise anymore. There will not be a question of can you accomplish or not accomplish. You will simply accomplish without a thought. You'll make an aim and you'll just keep moving towards it without the single thought of can I or can't I do this. It will be done. It will be maybe done in small steps, but there won't be a lot of mental or emotional turmoil around it. So what we're looking for is authenticity. We don't want to lie. We don't want to lie to ourselves. We don't want to lie to others. We want to develop an authentic capability. Pretty soon, something will start to unlock in the nervous system. The brain will start to unlock, And you will find that you can learn better than you could learn before, that you can think better than you could think before. I mean, productively think. That you are aware of the motivations of other people that you had previously been blind to. People who were bullies before will stay away from you. They won't be interested in you anymore because you don't have that weakness that was magnetizing them to you. This is going to be a process. It's going to take time. It took a lot of years to make you the mess that you're at right now. This didn't just happen overnight. It took years to develop these habits that you certainly would have. There's going to be these mental narratives going on, these ideas that pop in your mind that are quite negative. And those have built up over years. And so it's going to take some time to turn around. But you do what I'm saying. Every day you make your bed. Every day you start organizing things. Right now, in this moment, what can be improved? And do that. It doesn't have to be big things. Just start small and work your way up to ever bigger things. But don't forget the small stuff. In the Bible, it says, show me a person who's capable in small things, who can be trusted in small things, and that such a person is trusted in large things. A person who can't be trusted in small things can't be trusted in large things. Can you be trusted with the small stuff? Are you taking care of the small stuff? So simplify your life so that it's manageable. Simplify it so that it's manageable. If it's overcomplicated, cut away everything that's wants. Just start working towards needs. Work with the needs, authentic needs, not, I really want that Cadillac. You don't need it. Work with what you need. Work within your budget. Work with what you can do. And master the small things. If you're interested in another perspective on this, there's a psychological perspective that the psychologist Jordan Peterson talks about, and you can find that plenty of videos he has on YouTube, which may work with you. Now he comes at it from a psychological perspective much more than I do. I come at it from more of an energetic perspective. There's an atmosphere that's projected around us, and in our rooms, and in our car, and it's just everywhere. There's a sort of a stink. We need to clean that stink up. So go ahead and play with that. And Zeno, I hope that this video is helpful to you. But please know you're not alone. Probably the majority of people feel like you feel. It's just that people don't tend to admit to it. And now I've done some experiments with groups of students. I'll take them aside and ask them. And what I find is that they all give the same answer. I'll ask them, are you confident in your life? Do you feel like you're capable? Do you feel, self-actualized? Like, no, I'm really insecure, and I'm always worried about what people think about me, and I kind of feel like I'm kind of alone. And even though they have friends, they feel alone. And my friendships aren't really deep. And they'll say like that. And I might talk to 10 people, so for example, in a group, but I'll talk to them individually. And then I'll also ask them, do you think the other 9 people out there in the group, do you think they feel like you do? No, they're all pretty capable people. I don't think that they understand where I'm coming from. All of them say the same thing. They say the same thing. Everybody feels alone. Everybody feels insecure. Not everybody. I mean, not everybody feels it. There's a point where you can transcend that. But most people feel this way, right? A lot of people feel this way. I would guess more than maybe 70%, maybe as much as 90% of people feel this way. And that they're faking their way through life. And it's a big struggle, and they've got this mental narratives going on all the time, like, I can't do this, I'm not worthy, I'm not capable, and much worse narratives than that. And then maybe oppositely, they might have this attempt to battle those narratives, and they'll have this mantra. They'll say, I am great, I am good, I'm the best, I can do it, and they have this mental battle going on. None of that's necessary. It's not necessary. First, don't believe any of the narrative. Don't believe what's going on in your mind. There's a talk going on in your mind that is defining you. Don't believe it. None of it's true, even the good stuff. I'm handsome. No, well, relative compared to who? Am I handsome? It's all relative. And it's irrelevant. It's an attempt to feel good compared to somebody else. at somebody else's expense. It's sort of a bullying in its own way. A bully bullies on you because they want to feel strong. So in my mind, I think I'm beautiful because compared to that person, I'm beautiful. It's sort of the same thing. Compared to that person, I'm strong. It's the same principle. Maybe you don't verbalize that you're more attractive than that person, but inwardly, that's what you're doing. And there's nothing transcendent about that. There's nothing beautiful about that. It's actually quite ugly. It's quite ugly. But it is what is happening. And so let's recognize that that is what is happening. And stop believing it. Don't believe the good thoughts. Don't believe the bad thoughts. It's all noise. It's all noise. None of it's true. And in that way, you'll start to pull away the curtain that is the monster of the mind that has been torturing you your whole life. You'll develop capability authentically, not relative to other people, but actually based on what you are doing right now, relative to your own judgment, relative to your own discernment. Right now, what is disharmonious? By your own judgment, not by somebody else's. Correct it. Feel your way through correcting it. And then you'll become ever more sensitive to still more subtle disharmonies and more subtle harmonies. Correct more. It develops ever more capacity to see, to discern, to correct. And this will help your brain. It's like they'll switch on a light, intelligence, a kind of intelligence that's capable of discernment. And that will help with your language skills. It will help with learning of anything. You won't be so confused anymore. So, Zeno, have yourself a wonderful day, and I look forward to hearing back from you. Anybody else, listeners, if you have any questions, any difficulties on your spiritual awakening path, I'm here. Send me an email at contact@richardhaight.net. You can look below for the email address. Be sure to register, or whatever it is you do on Facebook, whatever it is you do on YouTube, to get these videos, get notifications of these videos. There's a button down there somewhere. Click that button, and we'll have lots of very practical, useful information available for you in your awakening path and in your daily life. And so if you're going to send me a question, please make it authentic. What are you really suffering from? And how does it relate to your spiritual awakening path? And I'd be happy to answer it. I don't do spiritual trivia, so don't ask me trivial questions. Ask me heartfelt, authentic questions. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.